Here it is. What's up, you guys? Noise Apata, and I have a buddy of mine here. I got a couple of episodes that I have to release. Um, uh, but this episode it isn't about me. It's about Mr. Jerome Rivas. Okay, we have him on Instagram over here as Gouda LLC, and just back to just like another scheduled daily programming. Jerome, man, I don't know, man. Like you've become wildly successful. Like there's people throughout the world, you get me, that they're like, how do I get in front of a bunch of beautiful women, have them pay me to shoot pictures of them, make them look great, you get me, have them promote me, you know, and then have other people reach out to me, you get me, and just, have such a high quality experience where it's just like I want to have my photographer, you get me, and these kind of needs met by Mr. Rivas, by Jerome. So I definitely want you to go like, I don't know, like whatever it is you want to take it how, into like the mind map of the woodworks of how it is that you so into others. You got me, like the guest, the audience. So they walk away and they're like, dude, honestly, like Jerome isn't just cool, man, but I learned a little bit more that raised my self esteem, that built my self worth, that will allow me to be able to have nicer and cooler things in life. Because you're kicking ass,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, definitely, man. Well, first of all, I just want to say I appreciate you reaching out and
Appreciate
doing
you
this
being a guest,
podcast
by the way,
thing.
man. Yeah, yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
man. Super cool. And I love to see it. So I really do appreciate you following up with me. I know it's been a little bit since we talked. And I'm super excited to see, I've been seeing all the podcasting that you've been doing and all the work with, your religion with your faith and everything. And I think that's super great, that you're pursuing the things that matter to you. Um, and as far as, for my stuff, I think it'd be good if maybe I give a little bit of background on where I came from, how I, got started in all this, my journey of entrepreneurship. Um, so I basically I grew up in Miami. As you know, we went to middle school together, and after middle school, went to Coral Reef Senior High School and graduated from there. Went to Florida State University. I was, I was fortunate enough to have scholarships and grants and everything to where, uh, college made sense for me. I never really knew exactly what it is that I wanted to do with just my life, with my degree, with anything. So I kind of looked at, what am I good at and what do I like, and that overlap tended to be over math and science, specifically chemistry, physics, and calculus. So the most logical sequence of events from there, the most logical decision was, well, I guess I'll do chemical engineering. And I did pretty good in high school. I had good grades. I did community service. I did whatever else. And I was, I got a full ride and more. I actually profited off of going to college, which I'm super fortunate for. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. Um, I went to Florida State University. I graduated in May 2021 with my degree in chemical engineering. And I was one of two people in my class that actually had job offers before graduating college. So that was super cool. I'm super grateful for that as well. And I had a choice, right? I had two job offers. One of them was to go to Chicago, South Side Chicago, and work with Mondelez. Are you familiar with Mondelez?
I'm just listening, man. This is your story, and I do not want to interrupt. I want you to have the freedom and the creativity to be able to just express your story the way that you're just like, you know what? Like, so I've had other people talk with me. I've been on other episodes. I've done other things like what you're
Mhm,
doing today. I wish that I would have
mhm.
shared this one other thing. You get me on that story, on that episode, the person would have let me talk. So I just want you to
Mm,
like just riff, bro. Just ride, man.
gotcha.
You're talking about your
Gotcha.
past right now. You get me? We're gonna be
Hmm.
moving towards your present and then the future, like your vision.
Yeah.
You get me? Where it's like, hey man, like what are you looking to accomplish? But right now we're in like, part of like the past, going up to where you're at in your present.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the option of going to
Some of the
Chicago and
footprints in the sand, if I may.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for a lot of these people,
Um
for a lot of the guys here and girls,
and
ladies.
girls. And yeah, so I had the choice to do that, work with Mondelez International. It's actually the parent company to like Oreo, Chips Ahoy, Nabisco, and they offered me a job as a manufacturing engineer out in Chicago. And then the other option that I had was to work as a systems engineer in New London, Connecticut, helping to design the nuclear submarines for the Navy through the company called General Dynamics Electric Boat. So I thought, well, do I want to bake cookies for a living or do I want to design nuclear submarines? And I figured one of those is a little cooler than the others. So I went with the nuclear submarines, moved up to Connecticut, lived there for about a year. And that's when I kind of entered the real world, right? Like actually getting like a real big boy job and graduating. No more school, no more summer breaks, no more whatever, right? And that's when I kind of realized, wow, this is not what I anticipated. My whole life I was kind of devoted to school, 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 get good grades, do this because then, and it's always like one foot after the other, right? It's always like, oh, get good grades here because then when you go to high school, you need good grades, and then when you go to high school, you get good grades because then you can go to college, and then oh, go to college because then you can do this, and then it's like I got to that point, and it's like, okay, I'm here, and this is what I spent all those years preparing for. Like it was just not what I envisioned for myself. I didn't feel really fulfilled. And I was, realistically, I didn't feel, a big part of it had to do with pay as well. I was living in Connecticut. It's a super expensive state, super high income tax and super high cost of living. And I didn't feel satisfied with the sacrifices I had made and the salary that I was receiving. I mean, at the end,
You weren't going to,
after
so where did you go to college just one more time for me? Because I know you said something about nuclear, you get me submarines, which is kind of cool, and something about baking cookies, and there's a lot of other, so what was it in Connecticut that you were, one more time, please? And
so
the college? Yeah. Because
I
I
went
think
to
you went to
Florida
like
State.
FSU, right?
Yep,
Yeah, there you go,
FSU.
man.
I went to FSU and I majored in chemical engineering. So yeah, and that ended up leading to that. There's a lot of different opportunities in chemical engineering and engineering in general, and those are the two that kind of fell into my hands. Um, but yeah, man, it's just Connecticut. I didn't like living in Connecticut. It's too cold. I'm a Florida boy. I'm from Miami, so Connecticut was too cold for me. I couldn't do it, and it wasn't a lifestyle that I had wanted,
Would you say it's
growing
great
up.
to visit? Just personally, like from your own experience? Like I've been in the snow, but like, so what would you say? Like snow is cool for visiting, not to live in it. That's what I like. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
Cool,
would
cool,
say
cool.
so. It
What's
Connecticut, I mean, it's a
next?
beautiful
Absolutely,
state.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just couldn't do it. And after 1 year of working there, I ended up getting a 1.5% raise. Didn't keep up with inflation. I just was not content with where I was. And so I knew something needed to change. So here's what I did, right? I went to Best Buy and I bought a drone before I even had a camera and before I had anything. I went to Best Buy and I bought a drone and then I put an ad on
In what
Craigslist.
state?
This was in Connecticut,
Okay.
while I was still working the engineering job. Um, I put an ad on Craigslist. It cost me $5 to put the ad up, and it was basically saying, "Hey, I will fly a drone for your business if you need any marketing for a business, for real estate, whatever. I'll fly the drone." And looking back at it now, I know that that's actually illegal. I need a drone pilot's license to do that. I didn't know that at the time, and I do have my drone license now, but at the time I didn't even know that was illegal. So, but anyways, I put that up. I did. Some guy reached out to me and he was like, "Hey man, there's this event coming up. I own a bar on the water, and I need some footage. 2 hours, fly the drone. You don't have to edit anything. Just fly the drone for 2 hours. Send me the footage. I'll pay you $400." And I was like, wow, I did it. And I was like, dude, I didn't even have to edit anything. I just made $200 an hour for 2 hours. Why am I still working this engineering job? And then the next day I put in my 2 weeks and I quit right off that. And then you know what the craziest part was, Noel? After I put in those 2 weeks, I quit the job. I made no money for like 6, 7 months. I had nothing coming in because I didn't know what I was doing. I made just the impulsive decision of, you know what? I made 200 bucks an hour for 2 hours. I'm just gonna jump ship. And I jumped ship and I made no money. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about branding. I didn't know anything about outreach, nothing. And I just lived off of my savings for a while. And eventually I was like, you know what, I can't stay here. It's too expensive and I'm literally making no money. And I came back to Florida. I came to Tampa, Florida. And things started picking up once I came out here. I learned, this is what I got to do. I picked up the cell phone and I started doing all these cold calls. I hate cold calling so much, but I was like, you know what? I need to eat. Like I need food. I need money, right? So I picked up the phone, just dialing, 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 and eventually it was kind of crazy. The first guy, I remember the first guy I called
Absolutely. I'm
didn't
listening, by
answer
the
the
way.
phone.
Okay.
I got you. First guy I called didn't answer the phone.
Mhm.
Second guy I called also didn't answer the phone. And then a couple hours later, the second guy that I called ended up calling me back. So I left a voicemail. And that guy's name is Benny. And fast forward, Benny became one of my biggest clients. He pays we hit it off. We hit it off great. And we just, we made great videos together and we've done projects month after month. And we actually, fast forward, we ended up starting a company together. So now
That's
we
awesome.
have our own production company. So yeah, it's just crazy how things ended up working out, man. And I've just, just kept trying, kept pushing, kept trying to grow and kept doing as much as I could.
I was gonna say great relationship, and you guys ended up starting a
Yeah.
company together. Freaking
Yep.
awesome, bro. Yeah. So
Yeah, man.
so this is where you started off. You get me, and like by the way, the engineering job, like so in between, so you got your degree, then you got the engineering job, right?
Yep.
That's freaking awesome, man. How's it like? You get me? Like, I mean, I think it's different for everybody, but like, okay, so you went to Connecticut, so you moved, you took an engineering job there. It's very cool. And what was the cookie thing about? Because you had mentioned like submarine nuclear engineering, by the way, and like cookies. So
Yeah, so that was the other job offer that I got before graduating. I had those two job offers. One of them was for the nuclear submarines, and the other was to be a manufacturing engineer, just basically running around the plant,
for
watching
cookies?
how they make the cookies. Yeah,
Wait, for real?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I like
So
it.
just
Yeah, man.
just checking the machinery and making sure that production was going good on the Oreos. So
Freaking A, dude. How come you didn't like that job, by the way? That wasn't an engineering job, like at all, was it? Like at all?
yeah,
Like ingredients wise?
it was more so like with the building out the systems to bake the cookies and then adjusting the machines, changing the inputs, and just adjusting depending on different pressures, temperatures, and just making it a whole, just making the whole manufacturing process more efficient was what they were hiring me for. And honestly, I just thought nuclear submarines was cooler, so I did
Bro,
that. Yeah,
I
that's the
like
only
that.
thing.
That's all the good stuff, man. That's freaking cool, bro. And then you ended up just getting a client, and you ended up with that client. This is a great part, by the way. You ended up starting a relationship. It was a great relationship. It was so yeah, and then you guys started a business together. That's
Yep.
badass, bro. If I may, what are some things that you can disclose? Because I'm sure there are some things where you're just like, hey, this is stuff where it's just like this is kind of like some of the stuff that I'm using doesn't mean that you can't share it whenever you want, but what are some things that you can share with people and that you're like, these are some gems or some footprints that I don't mind you get me saying, hey, you get me, here's a way that you can walk while working towards, what you want to accomplish, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, so that they can be
Hmm.
able to, move in a direction that is gonna have somebody that went there in a way and then they can reach their own destination. Whether that, yeah, you get me? And then they're gonna
Yeah.
tell me, hey, no, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do this. You get me? And then they'll tell me, what, and that's the best part for them to be at because they can bubble in physical creativity. Um, um, and it's something that's perfect.
Yeah, bro. So honestly, I think it the hands down the most important thing for my business has just been like even beyond marketing, beyond, you know, so many other things is just the social aspect of it. Being a good, like, as weird as this might sound to say, just being a good person, being friendly, helping, just willingness to provide value. I've noticed that like just being a good person, being down to earth, being real, being honest, genuine, authentic, you form so many connections that are crucial to growing the business, crucial to growing as a person as well. And even if you, form a relationship with somebody and there's no direct benefit, there's still value in that you never know if that person is going to refer you to someone else. You never know what can happen with that one person. Maybe that person like starts another business and they have the needs for that your business provides. And even outside of all of that, of any type of financial gain or anything of the sort, it's just inherently, I believe it's inherently good to be good to people and form these relationships because, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a very firm believer in like karma, but I do think that when you do good to other people, people want to do good back to you, whether
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a rule in the universe or whatever you want to call it, whatever, like I don't know, whatever you want to address it by, but I believe that, when you help people, people want to help you. And being nice and being good to people just gets that back to you as well. Yeah. And
That
through
I don't think there's
some,
any escaping that, bro. Like I know that this is like metaphysical and kind of spiritual, but like yeah, go on, please. If you'd like to get me on that, or you can talk about anything else, bro. You're because I know
Mhm.
you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and at that point, it's just like, hey, I want yeah. So the guests can unpack it for themselves, whoever it is that because they're just tuning in, man.
Mhm.
And I want a lot of other guys to kind of take lead and direction from Jerome Rivas. Yeah, which
Mhm.
is very cool, and that's what I want this episode to be. It's like
Yeah, bro. I
I
think
like it. Yeah,
it it's definitely just,
I would hire you
forming
for one
those
of my events, Jerome.
relationships.
Like if I were doing something, it's like, hey, Jerome, you get me if you're not too busy. Um, uh, can you help me out? With like this event or this? Like I would reach out to you. Like I would like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, man. And I'd love to help with that.
and yeah,
It's, forming those relationships are super important. Networking events, going to these social things where you can meet other people who are in similar industries or even just in completely different industries. I mean, when you think about it, my clients, because the bulk of my work is helping businesses make money off of video, right? Whether that's for Instagram, whether that's for YouTube, whether that's making ads, whether that's internal training videos that make their teams more efficient, whatever it may be. Um, I help businesses make more money with video. And like when you think about that, well, what kind of businesses do I work with? I mean, I just came from my client's house. He runs a business where he sells metal buildings, right? So like his business has absolutely nothing to do with mine, right? It's metal buildings. Like, what does that have to do with videos? It doesn't. So even working and forming these relationships with people that are um not in your same industry, it's still super crucial to make. And this guy he's been one of my biggest clients. He's runs $100 million company, and essentially we fly out all across the country to do videos to promote his business. And we just got off the phone earlier today, and then I just came from his house from meeting up with him. And we've gone to the point where we're friends, right? Like it's beyond just a strictly business relationship. I went to
right.
his Friendsgiving back
I
on
love it.
Thanksgiving. I went to his
Yeah,
barn, and it's just super important to form those relationships, man. That if there's one thing that I would want people to take away from this, it's that, you know, people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's definitely both. You definitely have to be good at what you do. You have to provide value. You have to actually be something that people would want to spend money on. But who you know is goes so much farther. Like you could be the best, like you could have the best quality videos. You could be the best videographer, photographer, salesman, insurance sales, solar sales, like whatever. You could be the best in the world, but if nobody knows who you are, what good is that?
wow.
You know? So it's all about relationships, man. If there's one thing that people could take away, go to the networking events, talk to people, form these relationships and strengthen them. Because yeah, maybe you might meet someone one day and then you never talk to them again. There's no relationship there. It's strengthen the relationship, show up, be there for people. People will be there for you.
That's yeah, that's solid, man. Freaking A, man. I yeah, I don't want to talk too much about anything because I'm here to learn, honestly. I'm literally taking notes. Like I got notes that I'm taking out.
That's great,
And
dude. That's good.
yeah, bro. And so it's limited to 40 minutes. This might be a two-part, you get me, which means it's like, hey, there's one part here, and then it'll end, and then we'll do a second part,
Sure.
potentially. Just yeah, because this is your episode. We have, and then so I have past, present, and future. And where are you at like today? Because I saw a part of you, you got me online, and people were like blowing up your DMs. And I know that I messaged you far way before that, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like on the dot. And I was just like, hey, something told me at that moment, it's like, ask Jerome to be on one of your episodes. Like, just no fluff. I didn't have to say that, but communicating the best way that I can. You get me? No fancy words, not this, not that. But it's like,
Mhm.
message him and have him on your episode. Like, make one of him on, this thing that you do, these podcast episodes for others.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, something was like, cool, cool. That's cool. All right, awesome. Hey, Jerome. Hey, man, like, and I messaged you, I DM'd you, and I was like, hey, bro, like, what was it that, let me see what it is that I wrote you. Let's see. You're like, hey, bro, I was like, hey, Jerome, want to catch up and be on a guest on my podcast. I know that your video services are something a lot of these business owners and girls look for as well. And it's high quality while you're scaling as well, too. Because I've seen some of your work online. You get me? So I'm just like,
Mhm.
dude, I like how this looks. This looks really pretty. This looks authentic. This looks like just high caliber. You get me? This is the like,
Right.
I don't know, like I love speaking life into others. This is one thing specifically, and just to share it and do it, it's like Warner Brothers. I'm like, wow. And it's crazy, but with like, and way more than me in this field. You get me? But when it comes to like cameras and videography and drones, stuff that used to be, it's like, hey, only people that you get me, grew up rich, you get me, and they inherited money. Maybe you did. I don't know if you did or if you didn't. I don't know.
I didn't,
And
but yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he did. Kidding, but he said he didn't. I don't know, but maybe, and maybe he just did it for the audience, huh? I don't know, which is a good thing. Anyways, whatever. To just keep it authentic, keep it real. Let's say, because it's crazy when you grow up and then somebody knocks on your door. Hey, Jerome, you have this aunt that died. You get me? She left you $1 million. It's like what? Like it's like or this you get me? Whatever you get me? It's like it's hey Jerome, you get me? We used to be cousins. You didn't know about it. I was your long lost cousin. You get me? Maybe today in a sense. I don't know, but a combination. And I'm here to give you money. It's like wait, what? Cool, I'll take
Yeah.
it. I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know. this is
No,
this is a good
man.
this is a good part, but
That
the
that would have
quality
helped a
you get
lot.
me of what used to be, you get me, like you get me. It's like damn, is that even possible? In a sense of like maybe you already saw the vision like that. If you did, sweet, bro, run with it. With what I bring in, and it's like boom, we'll high five on that because not everyone you get me has that kind of like goes in just scattering seed and sowing, and it's like bro, like you too, bro. Like I'm usually that like yeah. I'm like that crazy son of a gun where it's like I see that as well. Just looking at your content, what you are, what you have, what you've done today, and you get me the level of entry where it's just like way more about this than me. You get me, hey, like Noel, there's this other camera, then there's this, and there's that, and the clients and the audience is just like getting the best quality possible or even better. It's just really really high end stuff, man. And then always improving and adjusting your trade. And there's just so much to it, but like what would be something that you're at like today in the present where you're like, these are some of the things that you're just like, hey, like I don't know, like things in the present that you can throw out where you're just like these are some things that like boom, so that yeah, for like a growth mindset people, so you can grow us.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
teaching Jerome.
dude.
That's literally yes,
Uh,
that's what you're 100%, man.
yeah, bro. I mean, I think
It's good stuff, man.
a lot a
More.
lot of entrepreneurship is, failure. And I feel like a lot of people might think that like, oh, you do um, you either like those who win, they've just been winning, and you just see what people post on Instagram, right? You see like, oh, I've like even on my own feed, right? Like you'll see me out doing these shoots with like this like thousands and tens of thousands of dollars of gear and like out across the country filming in California and doing all this stuff. And like it just looks like it's all the time. It's like I'm just winning all the time. And that's just social media, dude. And people don't see the downfalls, the failures, the attempts. There's this quote, I don't remember who said it, but it was something like, you know, I'm only winning because I failed more times than you tried. And it's like it's there's just so much like you don't see the early months of entrepreneurship where it's, hoping and praying that someone fulfills the invoice because you need the money to pay your rent at the end of the month, or the fluctuation. Some months I've had months early on in my entrepreneurship where I made zero $50 in the entire month, and it's not for lack of work. I'd be there working, doing calls, filming, editing, doing like all kinds of stuff, trying to grow the brand on social media, and it just fluctuates. I've had months where I do great, I've had months where I don't, and it's just about, you know, moving forward, going through it, being, yes, stressed and anxious and like losing sleep because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like do this. Is this really for me? Am I
Yeah.
gonna be able to keep doing this? Do I need to go back to get another engineering job because I literally can't do this? And it's just holding out and pushing through it, and facing those fears and those failures that are inevitable, and growing from them, and choosing not to let them win, and choosing to overcome them and keep pushing. And really, like I said, there's months that are good, there's months that are bad, and especially when you're first starting out, you just have to learn how, like, you just have to see how badly you can get beaten up and just keep going. That's really that's really what it is, man.
So sharing that with the audience, man, developing them and growing them. You're like, hey, man, you guys are gonna need like, what word would you use? You get me? Like, if there's a word like 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 Rocky had a quote where it's like, it's not how many like times you can get hit, but how many times you can get hit and like keep getting up. And like he has a very very successful franchise. And yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. That's
That
all it
that
is, man.
movie, by the way, was made by with people, that yeah, like it just yeah, it was. If I may,
Yeah.
that movie was made with like a bunch of just like actually Rocky himself. That dude, like all he had was a script, bro. He freaking had to do like calls. You get me? He was freaking just he was doing everything for me. He's like, I just need someone to edit and film this. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. But this is, yeah, that's the point of this. You get me? Like this here. And it's like a hub where a lot of people will pay thousands and thousands of dollars because that's the kind of like information that you have. Jerome, I know that because I can see all this. It's like I can make a course for like 397, 497, like 797 very easily, 997, sell it, have people book my services, you get me, in between that,
Mhm.
and have a team, you get me, and scale that. I'm like, cool.
Yep.
That's the position that I see you in today. So I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that.
Just like
That's
seeing
actually
you,
something that's underway. Yeah,
which is
something that's
awesome.
underway for me. I'm putting together a couple of things, like an
So
entry
future, if you
level.
want to talk about it, like if you want,
Yeah.
you get me. Like, what are some of the things that you're like, hey, you get me? Like, these are some of the like upcoming things. If you don't want to talk more about like present, that we
Hmm.
like just your timeline, you get me? Because there was a timeline regression where it's like,
Hmm.
this is how I started. We're going back in time. I went to college. I remember that girl that you were with, by the way, because I've kept up with your social media for like a while, and like it's really, really cool. And then it's like in between all that, you get me. I made some kick-ass moves. If people were like going back and they rewatch, it's like there's a lot of nuggets where it's like you don't know if your client is gonna turn out to be your business partner. That in itself
Hmm.
is like, bro, that's a that's some that's you did that. You managed to pull that off. That's why I'm like, hey, is there anything you can share? You get me? Da 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 da. Like
Hmm.
some, I don't know if there's some stuff that you can't, some stuff that you could. I'm like, whatever you could, man. Because that's freaking awesome. It's like, how do you pull that off? Right? It's like, what the heck? It's like, how do you
Yeah.
pull a lot of this off? This guy's like, bro, like, and then you had a lot of people blowing up your DMs where it's like, this is such the creativity, the entrepreneur, the spirit, that soul. I want him to do my wedding. I want him to take pictures, you get me, of my daughter, you get me, or like just the girl herself. Hey, Jerome, I'm kind of using this as an excuse because I find you kind of attractive. You get me. I don't know if you're single, if you're not, or if you're talking to a million girls, but I'd like to marry you. Some girls just jump the gun, but but it's very satisfying. You get me, ingratiating because I know that you're yeah. So this is pleasant, and you went from 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000. So it's just awesome. And I'm just I'm really happy to have you on the show. So it's like, is there more stuff that you can share on your present, or do you want to like just move to the future, like just like boom, like right away? And I'm hosting the
Yeah.
episode, and I'm the host. but like with your episode, by the way,
Yeah, I mean,
you're
so
teaching
for current, what
and other stuff. Do you
I
want to share?
mean,
He's like, hey, no, I want to go here. I'm like, let's do it, man. It's your
for
episode.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Got it.
Um, yeah,
If
so
you,
for
yeah, thank
present,
you.
I mean,
Appreciate you.
the social
Absolutely.
media growth, dude, the social media growth is it's super important, you know,
You're
branding.
teaching.
I
Yeah,
think branding is
sharing,
so
imparting.
important. Yeah, just branding is super important because like,
Any other word you
you
want to
know,
use? Yeah,
who you are,
absolutely.
in online is like is it's super important to your image and you know the type of client that you're going to be getting or the type of views that you get. You know, social media people get it twisted a lot. People often think that like, oh man, I got this, I posted this video and like I only got 1,000 views on the video or whatever. And you look at it and it's like, dude, if you fill a room with 1,000 people that are just there like listening to you, that is not a small feat by any means. Like that's an accomplishment to get a room of 1,000 people standing there listening to you, watching you. Um, and there's so much more, there's so much to be said about, you know, what social media can do for you. And especially when it comes to like, you know, going viral or doing or growing on social media to either get more leads or more sales or whatever purpose you might have for social media. And recently I had a video, which is the wedding one that you were mentioning that kind of blew up like crazy. I think I'm about to hit like I think I'm at 9.9, almost 10 million views on that video.
Dude,
And
how do you go
it's
viral?
really
I interrupted. I'm sorry.
no, you're good, you're
My fault.
good.
My fault. You're teaching. This is
Um,
cool. You get me. I'm like an enthusiastic student. It's like, "Oh, I got you, though. These are my favorite students, man. I don't know, but yes, like you're teaching us,
Yeah,
so
bro.
it's like you can do it better than anybody you ever saw. Like yeah, you're teaching, or a
Yeah,
different
bro.
word. But yeah, it's like transference of data. So it's like the wedding
Yeah,
video, it's
bro.
like 9, 10 million like views, and you have other stuff that you were going on. So it's like just like the flow. It's just like yeah, because I know
Yeah, dude.
somebody's gonna grab
So,
onto something, bro. And if they haven't
yeah.
already, you get me.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, dude, I just, you know, that video went absolutely viral and I've been getting you know, it's a video of, you know, for the viewers if they haven't seen it, it's a video essentially where I'm saying, so I will shoot your wedding for free if, and then there's like a couple requirements that pop up on screen. And that video just it took off, man, and I've gotten invite like there's not a country in the world that someone hasn't sent me an invite from. And it's just it's been absolutely unreal seeing the thousands of messages, thousands of comments just flooding into the Instagram account. And it's really been, you know, it's been a great experience. It's been awesome. It's been intimidating as well because now it's like, dude, how do I manage this, right? Like now it's a matter of like scaling and growth, right? Because it's like thousands of messages coming in. How do I can't sit here and reply to texts all day. I have other work that I have to do. I have other clients I have to call. I have business meetings. I have etc. Um, so that brings on its own set of challenges. And I mean, the growth that I got from that video was insane too. I think when I posted the video, I was sitting at right around 5,000 followers and now I'm at like 13,300 or so. So, and it's really just a testament to not giving up and not stopping. You know, I've had videos that flop on Instagram, you know, going back to you know, failing more times than people are willing to try. I've had videos that flop, videos that get 100 views, videos that get no views. Nobody looks at them, and it's just me speaking into an empty void. And then it's like I look at it, and I just you get no reward from it, right? You're not getting any leads, you're not getting any followers. It's just something that you just got to go through and do. But at the end of the day, you just got to keep pushing and keep posting. You know, the when you post a video on social media, it's essentially like it's essentially a free lottery ticket, right? Because you never know what could come out of that one post. You just got to keep going. If someone came up to you and said, "Look, you can play the lottery as many times as you want, completely for free," wouldn't you play it as many times as you could? Like if you know that eventually at some point, if you have unlimited free lottery tickets, you could win, dude. You could win so much. So yeah, you're just gonna keep getting more and more lottery tickets. And social media is the same way. I mean, I've got hundreds of posts that I've posted, not like just over and over and over. You just keep posting, and none of them blew up as much as this one did, but eventually this one did. This one hit after all those trials and errors and failing at, you know, having posts blow up. This one finally hit, and it's just a matter of I didn't give up after I got 0 views for months straight, right? I just kept posting, I kept going, and eventually it clicked. I
I think
learned
that's
if it wasn't a
natural as an
matter of
entrepreneur, man. Like, because it's like, hey, like that mindset to like where other people tap out, you're just more positive in the world around you, and it's like, bro, like, let's do this.
yeah,